Welcome back to A Celtic State of Mind. Apologies for the slight delay. Laura, Kevin and I were just having a raging argument about VAR, but unfortunately we're going to have to talk about it. I'm sorry. I'm Paul John Dykes and this is A Celtic State of Mind. What did I say before the game, Laura? I don't want our broadcast to be dominated by VAR, yet there is no other option. We've got to talk about it. Let's start off with that particular decision. Over to you, Laura. What was your take?
I'll give my take on it and then I want confirmation from somebody in the chat if I've completely misunderstood the rules. But hey, I'd be no better than a referee at this point if that was the case. I personally felt it was a penalty. I know there'll be people out there saying it wasn't, or it was soft, or it was this, or it was that. So often in these situations, goalkeepers get the benefit of the doubt, even though they're the ones with the advantage of being able to reach over you and use their hands to win the ball. I know the goalkeeper was looking at the ball. I know the intent was there to win the ball. But you can still foul somebody even if your intent is to play the ball. And for me, he completely and utterly fouled Kyogo. It was a stonewall penalty for me. And the thing that I want clarified, if anybody can clarify for me in the chat, is my understanding of VAR was that you couldn't overrule a decision that a referee had made. So the fact that he had awarded the penalty meant it should have gone ahead. If it had been the other way around and he hadn't awarded the penalty, then VAR could come in and help make the decision to give it. But I thought the fact that he had given it meant that the penalty should then be awarded. I might be wrong, but I just think like you said, we were on here before the match saying, let's not be talking about VAR. And yes, I'm sure we'll discuss the fact that we've not been fantastic today, but that's not really relevant in the circumstance of whether we should have got the penalty or not. And in my opinion, we should have.
Yeah, he's been sandwiched as well. I know the goalkeeper's the main protagonist in this penalty shout, but he's been sandwiched. And the way that I've been looking at the replays as well, he's I'm not saying he's punched him. He's made contact with the left glove before anything else as well, Kevin. I mean, there's plenty of comment on that. We'll get on to Celtic's performance, dominant performance during the halftime break here. We are the people, says Autumn Glow. I thought I'd just throw that one in there. Kevin, what was your take? Laura's had her say on that. I felt it was a penalty also. What do you make of it?
Yeah, first glance, first view, I thought that's a penalty. Keepers get far too much protection, I think, in general in these ones. A cross comes in, a keeper can come out and raise his boot as he goes for the ball, and the foul goes in his favour if there's any contact. On this one, to me, it seems pretty clear as day that as the ball comes in, 100% he's going for the ball to win it. There's no intent to injure Kyogo or get him. But his right glove makes contact with the back of Kyogo's head first. He then kind of follows through and clatters him and wins the ball. For me, if that's a challenge in the halfway line, two boys going for a header, it's a foul. And I don't see why it's any different in this situation here. I think it's a foul. I think it's ones that keepers get away with far too often, and it should have been a penalty. What I would say is if it happens up the other end, we'll probably make an argument to say that it's not a penalty and that Joe Hart would have won the ball. He's got his fist on the ball and cleared it. That's trying to play a little bit devil's advocate. But for me, it's a penalty. He's come through. He's wiped Kyogo out. I don't know what you can say to that. To go on Laura's point, no, I do think actually that VAR does allow you to overrule a referee's decision if he makes it like that. I'm sure we've seen that happen here in Hungary, where VAR's actually been implemented with pretty smoothly over the last few seasons. No major issues, but we've seen it here, I'm sure, where penalties have been given and then VAR's overruled it. So I'm pretty sure that can happen. But I don't think it should have here. I think that was a penalty. I think we're pretty hard done by on that one.
Yeah, I think that's fair enough. I was genuinely asking for clarification, so that's good to know. I see a lot of people in the comments saying, we've not been good enough. We shouldn't be relying on a penalty decision with this, that, and the next thing. I completely accept that. If you're going to turn around to me and say you don't think it was a penalty, that's absolutely fine. But how well we've played or the fact we should rely on a penalty decision to beat Dundee United is irrelevant for me. Either it's a correct decision or it's not a correct decision. I don't believe it was a correct decision, and therefore I think we should have got the penalty regardless of how we've been playing, and we should hopefully be 1-0 up by now, which we're not.
Yeah, I'm going to bring up some of the comments because they are actually, some disagree that it was a penalty. So we'll bring that up as well for the fairness and balance. But just one final point on the VAR chat, which is ongoing, is that when a country like Scotland adopts it and thinks, right, we're going to put, not only we're going to implement this in the game, but we're going to do it early, right, which was always going to be a risk. We're going to do it early, so it's fraught with danger, isn't it? Teething problems is what Ian Maxwell called it before it even started. And you just think to yourself, well, surely there must have been a way of doing this better, Kev. You've spoken there, has been in Hungarian football for 2 seasons, right? And spoke about having, experience of it when he managed elsewhere. It's something that has been implemented successfully elsewhere. And I just think the VAR, the technology is fine. The technology is absolutely fine. That's not what we're questioning. It's the people sitting there making the decisions. And then obviously that then coming to the referee on the park and things being lost in translation there in terms of their own interpretation of the rules. Would it not have been better, Kev? Would it not have been possible for us to use the VAR of someone somewhere else where it had been implemented perfectly well and it was running smoothly? Or does it just come down to cost, where we could have actually tapped in, because the rules are the same, we could have tapped into somebody else's system and the decisions would have been relayed to our referees and they could have implemented them on the park? Would that not work better?
Yeah, I think it would have. And if Ian Maxwell's come out before VAR's even been implemented and said there's going to be teething issues with it, why don't you take the opportunity to bring in an expert from somewhere else to help you run it for the first season or half a season, whatever it is? It works fairly well down south. It works fairly well in the continent. It works fairly well here in Hungary. I don't see why it shouldn't work in Scotland. And then you do get to the realms of kind of conspiracy theories almost, where you think, well, the reason it doesn't work is because it's the same people making the same decisions as they were last season. Now they've just got a screen that they can go to, but they're still making the same calls. It's still the same people that's there. It's a system in Scotland that's just not fit for purpose, and something needs to change with it sooner or later. There needs to be some sort of outside influence coming in to help us run it and get it right. Because it is every single game, there's a major talking point that you're walking away from. And we don't want to do that. You want to talk about the football on the pitch. I want to come on and say, we've had a pretty decent first 45 minutes in the sense we've created a few chances. We need to speed things up, perhaps, talk about the actual game, the football, what we've done. But we're going to spend the whole time talking about a decision that we shouldn't be talking about.
It's dominated two-thirds of the broadcast. Yeah, two-thirds of the broadcast dominated by VAR. But you're right, bring the experts in, shadow them. That's what normally happens, Laura, in terms of getting a new job or a new system in place. But Scottish football, it would appear, have gone for the cheap option. Or we'll do it ourselves and we'll mess it up ourselves as well. Now, before the game, Laura, we were talking about the heady days of 9-0 wins at Tannadice. Stephen Stone comes in. He would take an ugly 1-0. So would I, Stephen, without a shadow of a doubt. And we talked also about the lineup, because the predicted lineup that Kevin McCluskey had, and going forward, that type of thing will be shared on the Acsom blog. The only kind of couple of questions you had was, Bernabei at left back, because you weren't sure about Taylor, but also what was happening on the left-hand side. And we've also got a suggestion here by Coubertine 67, Maeda on for Abada, guessing that Jota would then switch over. Yeah, I get that. I don't think Abada's directness, Laura, has bared much fruit. I also think that although Jota's played particularly, I thought he's been pretty good in the first half. I think Liam Smith's a decent right back. He's a decent right back. And should Jota maybe switch over and get Maeda running at Smith to give him another challenge, that might be a good option at halftime. What do you think?
Well, while we're on the subject of Liam Smith, Dundee need to get a foul based off the fact that he stands on the ball.
He was even laughing at it. I know.
Hatate's laughing. Again, might be my misinterpretation of the rules. Why is VAR not going in there and saying that's not actually a free kick, he stood on the ball? But anyway, going back to your original question, I I agree that maybe Maeda for Abada might be a shout. But my concern there is Jota showed some promise down the left-hand side. You completely lose all of that if you then switch him over to the right-hand side, as you almost certainly would if Maeda came on. So my personal preference was, if you're going to take Abada off, then I would go Forrest if you're going to do that, because I really don't want to see Jota come away from that left-hand side. And I think generally, just to pick up on what Kevin was saying, I think people are a bit too influenced by the fact it's 0-0. I get the point is that we should be scoring goals. That's the whole object of the game. But I think a lot of people are saying we've not played well just because it's gone in 0-0. I think we've been creating chances. We've not been finishing the chances well, but we've been creating chances. Moyes made some really good runs down the inside channel, put good balls across, and it's just been unfortunate that either Kyogo or Jota has not been in the right position to be on the end of those. But I think if we left things unchanged for the start of the second half, we might see a few more chances created and maybe a goal. I don't think the scoreline accurately reflects quite how good the performance has been for me. I've seen situations where we've created a lot less chances than we did today. I think we just need to be a bit sharper in front of goal.
Yeah, I've got to say, obviously some of the comments coming in are unhappy with the performance in that first half. It wasn't that we weren't creating anything, Kevin, and I think that some of the passages of play that didn't result in a goal were peak Celtic. It was the way that we play, and Kyogo has been on the end of a few of them. Jota has tried a kind of speculative effort as well. Hatate shoots over the bar. I think Hatate's had a very, very good first half as well. So in terms of any changes, Laura's had her say on what she might want to do. What do you think, Kevin? It's not something he does that regularly, but it has been known to make changes at half-time.
Yeah, I'm tending to agree with Laura on that one and say I probably wouldn't make any changes at half-time. I'd let it run its course for the first 10, 15 minutes of the half, and then look to change things up where we need to. Because we had a wee spell from about 25 minutes onwards where we did create maybe 3 or 4 chances. Their keepers made a couple of good saves from Jota and Kyogo. We're not creating like that clear chance. We're getting half chances. But the way we're playing and, the kind of domination of possession that we've had and outside that 18-yard box, 20-yard area, you've got that feeling again it could be one of those games where it might take us a while to break United down and get the first goal, but the first goal's in us. And once we get that, the game becomes a bit freer. And United's actually been fairly open at times in this game. As much as I think they've defended really well and closed us down, they've tried to attack at times. And if they keep on doing that, they'll leave spaces. Fairly confident we can get in, keep on creating. Sooner or later, we'll put one of them away. And maybe will come off the bench and do it for us. We'll get a debut goal and make Ian Crocker
make Marquis quite happy as well. If I were a gambling man, I'd be tempted to lump money on O coming on and scoring. And we've got a few other comments. Donny Boy, everybody needs still a wee bit of patience, says Donny Boy. It's only half time. Yeah, totally get that. I think that the fact that decision was made. Yep. And you know what Celtic are like in the second half. They do grind teams down as well. Turnbull, only one who can take a shot from that area that we've played a lot of the ball in, just in that final third, just outside the box. And we do have a few people, Martin, controversial, but I think it's a soft penalty claim, says Martin. And we did have more people saying that also.
Just to pick that up from Martin, I actually think a lot of the focus on the penalty claims going the wrong way. Everybody's focusing on the goalkeeper, but if you actually look, the Dundee United defender pushes Kyogo into the goalkeeper, so it might not even be the goalkeeper that's committing the foul. It might be the defender actually, and so the fact that the goalie gets the ball and whatever defence you want to put on that, it might not even be relevant. It might be the defender that's made the foul instead. Yeah, absolutely. Sandwiched in the box. Hopefully Kyogo can get on the end of something. In the second half, it's been an absolute pleasure to talk for 2/3 of that bulletin about VAR once again. Hopefully we don't have to return to that at full time, but we will be back on at full time. Thank you all for getting involved, and thank you to Kevin McCluskey. What a nice tracksuit that is, by the way. And Laura Bradburn for joining me on a Celtic State of Mind.